Welcome to another episode of your favorite gecko slash reptile podcast slash reality show slash all types of other cool stuff. All right, today we have another amazing guest with us, Heather from Heather's Bugs and Lizards. You know how this goes, guys. We're gonna talk. We're building bridges between breeders and keepers, and we're we're on a mission. We're on a mission to bring this community together. We don't discriminate. We believe everybody has a voice. Everyone's opinion matters. Everyone's observations matter. We don't have to agree to respectfully hear someone out, and that's what we're here to do. If you have something to say, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to listen to you. You have any announcements, Mark? Anything? Any shows coming up? Anything you want to get out first? Any?
No, it's just, just keep on the lookout. There's a lot of new stuff happening. Let people know about the podcast, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we have a lot of interesting things coming soon, real soon, and we appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you.
We do indeed. We do indeed appreciate you guys. And our reach is only as big as our audience, guys. So if you don't mind and you do like the podcast, share it, man. Share it, talk about it. Like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazz on YouTube. So it is obviously the podcasts are on YouTube and New Cow Corner podcast. And there's lots of great episodes too. There's episodes on there with some amazing people, and some, in all honesty, deserve a lot more attention than they're getting, and maybe that's our fault in not promoting. I don't know what the problem is with the algorithm and why not, but there is some amazing conversations on there that are there for you guys to check out and listen to for years to come. It's not going anywhere. So check it out. And again, also, if there's topics you guys want to hear about, species, anything you guys want to talk about, we're here for you guys, man. We'll find the people. You let us know what you want to hear. We got you. We'll take care of it, man. We are here for information and building relationships and all that good stuff. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to shut my mouth and stop sounding all sappy and stuff. Let's get into this. Let's welcome Heather from Heather's Bugs and Lizards. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a quick rundown? It doesn't have to be quick, but how did you get into this? What do you do? What is Heather's Bugs and Lizards all about? Tell us about you.
So I tell this story at every show I go to. So this is my fun. I go to shows because I grew up in this hobby. So I was one of those little kids that my dad used to breed and sell animals. He had a pet shop as I grew up. So I spent a lot of time in the pet trade, and I bred things for him. So I used to breed basically small animals that he would feed to his lizards and snakes. So, and I had whatever else he would sell at the pet shop, like rabbits and rats and mice and hamsters and whatever it was, that's what I would breed. And he would pretty much get me whatever I wanted for Christmas, birthday. We would go to a show and he would be like, whatever you want at the show, you can get, go, happy birthday, right? So my stepbrother, my stepsister, and I, that was our birthday present. I had squirrels one year because they were at a show, and my dad was like, really? Those are kind of cool. We should get them. And I'm like, yes. So I got squirrels for my birthday, but it was whatever we found, whatever we would do at the show. And I was one of those little kids that would run around, and I'm sure you see kids now at shows, right? They're jumping around, running around like, oh, my dad's doing this over there. I just helped him bring stuff in. That was me. I was that little kid. And loved every minute of it. Used to have such a blast. But the best part about it for me when I was a young person was I got to experience all of that. I got to learn about the animals, and I'm really into the different morphs, right? Because those options didn't exist when I was a kid, right? Like you had, for instance, I do spiders, I do geckos, all sorts of geckos. At this point, I do morning geckos and crested geckos that I breed. And then I also do spiders. I do all sorts of spiders, true spiders and tarantulas. Well, when I was 15, my dad said, go ahead, get what you want for your birthday. So we went to this show that's been around here for 40 years, this one reptile show that's around my house here. And we went, and I was excited, and I said, okay, Dad, I'm going to get a tarantula. And he was like, wait a second. He goes, let me caveat all this. He said, you can get the biggest snake. You can go get the alligator that's over there. You can get whatever you want, but not a tarantula. And so I was like, oh, Dad, come on. I want a tarantula. So he was like, no, 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 no. Anything else. You can go get whatever you want. So I convinced him that it would be okay for me to have a tarantula. And he had a friend that had two options, right? It was either a Mexican redknee, which was a species that was probably not Mexican redknee at the time, just
Oh
to
God.
be clear, or what was the other option? A Rosie, something that came from, at the time, Texas, right? So one or the other. Those were my only options. So I got one, and I got it back, and it was tiny, and it happened to be a female, and it lived 30 years, and I was thrilled that I had it for 30 years. In the meantime, I
That
told my dad I
long,
would, yeah,
Jesus.
yeah,
30
they live a long time.
years.
Yeah, it outlived, it went through college with me. I
Wow.
mean, it lived forever. So it was a beautiful tarantula. But then I females can. Brachypelmas, any of the Brachypelma species, they live a really, really long time. But then going into this, that's what I started with. I started with spiders. I started with breeding jumping spiders and tarantulas. And then, as we do, go to a show. And my dad's motto was, if you can have one, you can have 10. So walked into a show,
I
I
kind of
like
like
this
and
your
guy.
dad.
yeah, he was a cool guy. So his whole philosophy was, hey, what's one more, right? So he passed away in 2010, and I told him I would never do anything with reptiles. You know, I'm gonna be spiders, and that's it. And then I walked into the show, and I'm like, oh, but I really like geckos. Really like geckos. I said, well, let me get one. So I got this beautiful gecko. I talked to this person, and then it became an addiction. And I think that's true for anybody who touches a crested gecko. I'm just going to say that. True to my dad's form, you buy one, you buy 10. Next thing you know, I'm 232 in and breeding, and 35 to 50 babies a year, and here I am 4 years later. So it's been a lot of fun. I love the morphs. I'm diving in wholeheartedly. Something new happens with this hobby
Awesome.
every day, you know, so it's fun.
Sure does. For sure. For sure. So what would you say your main goal is? Like what would to come into a world, I mean that you well, I don't want to say come into it, you grew up in this and you've obviously seen reptile hobby of yesteryears versus today, and you're doing what you're doing. What's your goal? What would you like to contribute, change? What's the objective?
So I think there's two goals that I have, and they're actually probably contradicting each other, which is okay because I think two things can be true. So I'm going to say that. The first goal I have is to make affordable to the younger generation the animals that exist that I breed. I want them to have that experience. As a young person walking through the shows, I couldn't afford a $500 skink, right? I might have wanted a $500 blue tongue skink at the time. I couldn't afford it. My dad bred high-end animals, so he wasn't selling to the hobbyist, to the normal hobbyist, right? Like he was selling to somebody who was breeding for specific things, right? And I always felt like, well, there was kids walking around that were my age that wanted to buy things. They wanted to have pets. They wanted to experience that. There's people that can't afford that $500 stink, but they can afford to keep an animal, right? And love that animal and treat that animal with the respect that it deserves. And so I think that's my first goal is, and you'll see it on my Instagram. It says, I sell, I don't just sell projects, right? I sell an animal that will be somebody's pet, somebody to
You
enjoy.
know, the the thing that intrigued me, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the
Okay.
thing that intrigued me when we booked you for the podcast was the statement, and we're going to read it verbatim: giving people their newest pet, not project. And I found that super interesting.
I think
Salute
that
to
means
that.
the world to me.
Very
It
cool.
hits me hard. My nephew does this with me. So my nephew, who is, you'll see it's me and him at most of the shows. He loves it. He's made a world of friends. I love seeing him happy and enjoying this experience. I love doing it too. Having him around just makes it even better, right? Who at 19, 20-year old want to hang out with their aunt anymore? You know what I mean? So it's in, he's a big guy. You'll see him walking around. He's a tall guy, and you see him walking around, and everybody's like, and I'm like, that's my nephew, and I'm thrilled, and I'm happy he wants to be there, and he wants to hang with me. And we found something in common,
Mm,
right? Because it's not just about
it's
video games,
beautiful.
although I do play them too. I'm not gonna go there. But at the same time, it's something we can share together. And he's the one who came up with that statement. And the reason I bring that up is because he felt
I
that
like
way.
it.
He felt that
And
way
that's a huge
strongly.
thing that people, I believe is underrated, right? Giving people exposure, right? Exposing people who know nothing about these things to these animals, right? Like that's growing the hobby. It's changing someone's life. You now know a piece of information or pieces of information that you did not know before. Your life is technically will never be the same, whether you keep them and breed them forever or it's a one-time pet that you have for 10 years. Your life will never be the same. So you're ultimately changing lives when you give these out. I talked about it in many a podcast before, but something I personally take pride in is giving children their first reptile. If you have a child who's never had a gecko or never had a pet, you contact me. I will send your child, with your permission, his first or her first gecko free of charge anytime. I've done it many a times. I will continue to do it until the day I die. As long as I'm working with these animals and there's a kid out there that's never had one that wants one, money will never be an option. You do not have to worry about money. I got you. And it's the experience for me, right? It's giving that kid, seeing the look on their face the first time they hold a gecko or something is priceless. You couldn't pay me enough to feel that, and it's again, a lot of people get caught up in the money and the next new morph or the next new gene or the next new combo, or that's all fine and dandy. I like that too, but let's not forget what makes this hobby the next generation, right? you know
Absolutely.
it's a huge thing that unfortunately, again, a lot of people forget. It's nice to see some people keep that at the forefront of their mission, and it's
That is
beautiful.
my first and all-time thing. People come up to the shows. I have a lot of folks that have never experienced either lizards or snakes or anything along those lines, right? And so when I'm at a show, I want it to be warm and welcoming. I want people to feel comfortable coming up to my table. I want them to look at things and not be afraid of them, right? And it's okay, right? It changes so much. And you hit it on the head when you said it changes your life. You can see it in their faces, right? Um, not to, but a recent story. Just recently, I was at a show and a lady came up and she had a, a tattoo on her hand of a spider, right? And she picked up one of the spiders on the table and she's looking at the spider and she's like, I've always wanted a spider. And I'm like, you have a spider on your hand. What, you've never had a spider? And she said, no, I've never had a spider. I'm like, you have to have the spider. Like you can't just walk away without a spider. You have it tattooed on your body. Like you have to have one. And so she must have, she's like, I don't know. And she walked away and she came back. She came back to my table like 5 times. No joke, right? For the same spider, looking at the same thing. I took the spider out and I handed it to her. I'm like, do you want to see it? Like, do you want to see the spider? And she's like, yes, yes. So I handed it to her and I said, it's your spider. Have a great day. Like, I want you to have this. Like, it's yours. It's on your arm.
Kudos to
How could
you.
you not? Right?
That's
So
awesome.
I think when
That's
people
awesome.
connect in that way, it changes their life, right? When they have that connection, when they see it,
Absolutely.
when they realize it's not going to hurt them, when they know that it's something that's theirs, their face changes, they light up. It's an amazing experience that unless you're able to do it, you'll never know, right? Unless you're that catalyst in that moment where you're handing them that animal, right? And you're saying, I want you to have this. This is from my heart to yours, right? Some of my animals are 2, 3 years old before I sell them because I get attached. I'm still a keeper. My heart is still a pet owner, right? My heart is still a keeper. I still get attached. There's times when I give a gecko, like when I'm ready to sell a gecko, where I'm literally like almost crying. I'm like, I've had this gecko for 2, 3 years, and I'm like, I've handled this gecko. I know this gecko inside and out, and I'm showing it to somebody. The joke is there are times when I bring geckos and I put them on my table and I'll hide them. And I'll be like, no, I'll just stick this, I'll put this behind the table. I'm not ready to sell that one. You know,
I get
because you
it.
get
I
attached,
get it. I
you
breed
know.
chihuahuas. My chihuahuas, I all raised every chihuahua I have from hatchlings for 4 years before I paired them, let alone hatching the eggs. You cannot buy them. I don't want you. I'm not giving them up. Like, there's so many things that
Freezing.
I just started realizing I
Yeah, you're
have to,
frozen.
but I get it. Like, you put so much time in, like, I've watched these things through their whole lives, their first worm, their first cricket, their first everything. Like, I don't want to sell them, I'd rather keep them.
When I started this and
So,
my
but
first
I
babies hatched,
understand.
when my first babies hatched, like when you have that experience and you're spending days staring at this egg, right? No matter what, you're going to the egg every day and you're like, is it ready? I should be close. Is it time? Right? And then I got to watch my first baby hatch. And that was like the coolest experience of my life. It just happened to be there at the time. And I watched the first egg that
That's like
I
winning a
bred the
lotto.
animals,
Yeah.
and I watched that baby hatch. And of course, I still have it, right? Because that's never going anywhere. Like that animal's going to
Of
live
course.
100 years. I don't care what anybody tells me. So, but it's going, like it's something I got to watch hatch. I actually do a first hand feeding on all of my animals. I do just a little bit of a hand feeding, just once, um, just to get to know them. It's my way of connecting with them at the moment. It's my way of understanding every single animal that I have. I want a connection with before I sell them, and that's just my way of doing it. I just do a little bit of the crested gecko diet on for each of them, and
I talk about it on
then
the
I
podcast
can.
all the time. I have 300 animals, and I interact with every 300 animal every day. Every day, I interact with every animal in my collection, whether it's misting them, holding them, looking at them, every single day. Every single day, every animal I have has an interaction with me in one way or another.
I completely get that, and I do it too. I love it because I can tell you about each of them. Every single
Mm-hmm.
one of them has a story.
Absolutely.
Every single one. And I can give you that story from start to finish. Some of which I can give you the story from the day it hatched to the egg until now we're 4 years in, right? And I can tell you all about them. But then on the other side of me loving the animal and being a keeper, as well as not just being a breeder, right? Because I think I think they are the same, and I think a lot of people that are breeders are keepers. I'm not going to say that differently,
Sure,
but
of
I
course.
am going to say that
Mark's
there's
got
another
thousands of
side.
animals and knows every one in his collection.
Yeah, see? And that's how it should be, right? I mean, that's why we do it, right? We love it, right? And I always say they're my heart
Yeah.
animals. Everything I give you comes from my heart, right? I'm Italian, right? So Italians, we like, everybody makes food, right? When you go to like a holiday gathering, what are you eating? You're going to eat whatever they're eating, but that's not what you're eating. It doesn't matter what it is. It came from the heart of whoever made it for you, right? And then they give you that
Absolutely.
food, and that food is whatever it could be. I don't even care. It could be, mashed potatoes, who knows, right? But it was made with love and it was made from your heart. Well, I think everything in life that we do is made from your heart and made from the love that you have as human, period. So,
Should be, I'm sure.
absolutely. Otherwise, why are we here? Let's just be real, right? Like, what's the point, right? And so when I give people an animal, I tell them you have me for life now. You don't just have me for the animal, you have me for life. I want to hear about all your experiences. I want you to tell me about them. And I talk to people every day. I mean, people that I sold animals to 2, 3 years ago, and they're still sending me pictures, and I'm loving them as much as I did the first picture I got them, right? And I still remember them. Like I have a thing with people, right? So that's why I love the shows, right? Because you get to meet everybody, you get to talk to people, and I always tell people it's like you get to meet your clan, right? That's your people there, right? Like these are all the people that you can feel comfortable with because normally they're there for the same reason. So it's a fun experience. But yeah, but my other side of the business, as you mentioned as well, it's wonderful to have that keeper side, right? Always wonderful to have. But then there's this exciting side, this side of what can I create next, right? What's that artistic thing that I can make next, right? Like can fire is a big deal right now, right? Everybody's doing something with fire, right? Everybody's doing something with trying to get the next albino, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not going to, so I'm not going to say that I'm not chasing that a little bit. Sure, I want to create a fire, right? You know what I mean? Sure, I want to do that. Why not, right? That's the artistic side, right? That's the side that
Fire's the
goes be,
leucistic one, right? That's the
yeah,
fire, the leucistic looking things.
yeah. No melanin in the skin, but the eye color is dark. And now just recently they came out with having bred and hatched an albino, right, in the crested gecko
Yes,
world.
I've seen those. Yeah, I saw those.
So
Interesting.
the fire is norm, and now they're moving towards pies, right? So there's this other part of the hobby that to me is like art, right? You get to act,
Absolutely.
you
Art,
get to,
chemistry, science, all balled into one. It's amazing. It's amazing. Absolutely.
and that's the fun part,
So,
right? That's the part where you
mhm.
get to be creative and you get to actually make something, right? And I have a lot of friends in the hobby, and we talk a lot about this, right? We talk about what it's like to create something that's different than you've ever created. It might not be different for the world, but it's different than, you attempted to create something. So you took this animal and you bred this animal with this goal in mind, right? And what does that look like? And then you create it and then you look at it and you're like, oh my God, it happened. It worked. First you get that shock, right? Like, oh, here it is. Look, I got it. Taking all the pictures, snap, 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 snap. I want to post it everywhere. Look at this. I got this. And but at the same time, you're like, then it's like it's an experience, but it's more than that. It's like I created this piece of art that is so important to me as a keeper, but also as a hobbyist, as a project person, as a artist, I think, in this field. And now I
Sure.
get to share it with you and we get to go move it forward. What's next?
What gene? So, what are you working with? What's your proverbial Mona Lisa look like? What are you
Ah,
trying to create?
so I have 8 projects happening this year that are different. I always breed tricolors, right? Because that's a staple in the hobby. Um, I think you can always improve tricolors. I think there's always a way to do that. So I always breed tricolors every year. And then I did for a while Dalmatians. I'm not doing that anymore. Everybody's doing Dalmatians, right? So I'm not going to do that. This year, my primary goal is 2 things. I have hypo. I started red hypos last year. So I had one red hypo female, and I bred her to a red hypo male, not knowing he was red hypo. So I produced what I call her strawberry. She's this red hypo, but she's pink. Her body is pink. Even when she fires up with like a gray pinkish color. She's really pretty. Her name is Gretchen. I posted her on my sites. She's mom to some of my babies right now. She's a pretty girl. She's just, and that's one of those ones. I'll take a million pictures. Look at this Gretchen. She's amazing. Everybody needs to see Gretchen, right? So I love her. But she is hypo, and I love that. I love what hypo does. So I'm trying to do hypo with yellows. I'm trying to do hypo with reds, and get deeper into the hypo, what it can actually do to the color more. I think it lightens the color of anything that you actually pair it with. So if you pair a hypo yellow to a dark yellow, I think you're going to get a crazy color yellow. I think if you pair a hypo red to a red, you're going to get a pink. I think, and I've seen that just because in my own breeding, I've done it. So I'm curious what's going to happen with yellow. So I'm doing that this year. So I have a hypo yellow with a a little bit of a darker yellow with some ports, some white ports that I'm pairing with, and I'm curious what it's going to do. I want to see that what I like to call um, a very light, like a lemon. We're calling it limoncello. So we're going to call it the limoncello project because why not limoncello? I'll drink a little bit of limoncello. So that's hopefully what we'll produce. I'm not calling it that. Actually, that came from a friend of mine. I think you know Mike over at Parkour Geckos. So he,
Buddy
he
of mine, yeah.
yeah. So his female is he loaned his female to me, who is a yellow, high, really beautiful high yellow, and I had a hypo yellow male, and so I'm going to pair them, and we're going to get limoncello together. So that's a Mike-ism, not a Heather-ism. So I don't want to take that from him. He's like, oh, the limoncello project exists. It's going to live on. And I'm like, yes, it is.
A big Mike.
Yeah.
LAC Herps, well, I wouldn't say it's a limoncello project, but they have some interesting hypo yellows they've been working with for quite a
It's the
while.
Lucid. They call it the Lucid project.
Yeah, you'd be blown away with how many I have, man. They're like gold with bright blue
Yeah.
eyes. They're amazing looking animals. Yeah. I don't breed them. I have them, but they're beautiful
So I'm
animals.
trying to keep
Beautiful.
the purple eyes. That's my thing because they both have pastel purple eyes. And I know there's another breeder who I was just looking at yesterday who's has a pastel project. Um, and I was looking at her project and she was talking about
Juliana's.
Juliana. Yeah. She was talking about the purple eyes, right? And that's something that I've tried to keep in all of my babies. I try to keep those purple
Lavender
eyes.
hypo thing.
Yeah.
All my lavenders, which are hypo blacks, they're lavenders. Those are hypos, pastels. They make dozens of them. They all have the purple eyes for
I
sure,
love that.
which are again blue, but they're just a hypo version. I agree with what you're saying with the hypo. There's a lot of little things that people don't get. I'm not a geneticist. That I'm not like a big time show my animals off. I do things kind of behind closed doors to see for myself, and yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on, with that people haven't, not in a negative way, but haven't exploited, if you will. There's a lot to be done with them.
And that brings me to the
Juliana
third
has done
project.
some amazing.
She's got some amazing animals. I have a few of her animals that I started with. There's a lot of breeders out there that I envy and just I looked at as like just I see their stuff and I'm like, it's I still fangirl a little bit over some of
Well,
the some of the breeding
take
that
years.
happens.
I do too.
Yeah,
A lot of time. These a lot of time and strategic pairings. A lot of intention.
yeah.
Sometimes there's mistakes. Granted, not mistakes, but amazing things come out of random pairings, and probably more so than planned pairs. But when you work with those refined animals, it's usually a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Takes years to get where you want to be, right? Like it takes generations of those animals before you know what you're actually
Sure,
getting to. So, and I love
sure.
I'm a huge fan of Anthony Capanetta's program. I think he's got some pretty cool stuff there. I have a few of his animals and I love them. I started with getting some of his animals, which I think pretty much anybody in the hobby can say they either have an ACR or it's something's been bred that brought them to, down that line, right? Like he produces a lot of animals. So but yeah, I started with a few of his. That's how I started with them in particular, right? I got a few of his animals and I was like, wow, these are pretty cool, right? And then
One of those
moved
high-end
into
wholesale baby packs.
yeah, right? I did. I had them I got them and I guess people wholesale
Well, I
and they
got
sell them.
started.
Yeah, I mean a lot of people wholesale and
So I
sell
got
them, but
started. I bought 20 of them, raised them all up.
that's what I did. I raised them all up and I fell in love with them. I still have them. So that same pack of like 15 geckos that you get when you order his geckos, right? I still have all 15. I know I'm a hoarder, but it's like
For you.
it's still like again, I still love them, right? So I still want to keep him around. I have the very first one I have. I call him Moss. He's like this. He not. I would never breed him. I love him to death. I would never breed him, but he is. He sits on my head when I'm at the computer. He is like just. I call him my dude. He just hangs out, right? One of the first. He's just a regular old tricolor. Nothing special about him, but just plain old tricolor. Got a couple of cool ports on one side of his body that he doesn't have on the other. I don't know why. Polydactyl. He has more toes than I think he should have. Other than that, he's a cool gecko, and yeah, probably living. He'll probably be the one that lives like 100 years, and that'll be okay. But yeah,
So
so they
Heather, what one thing as your journey continues and continues, right? What I find interesting is how you stay grounded in, like how you said, you have two things that can contradict it, but so what? Like what tips do you have for people to stay grounded like that? Because a lot of people get lost in the I want to be the breeder's breeder and be the person for the breeders to buy from, and they lose the aspect of the I need to bring people into the hobby and offer these animals to the children and the next generation and things like that. And you seem to have found a way to do both and stay happy. And one of the things that happens a lot in my eyes that I see is people chase after that title of being the best breeder there is and wanting to sell their animals to other breeders, and then the the lack of sales and not being able to sell those $3,000 animals and things, and right away it becomes, oh, the hobby it's crashing. What tips do you have to stay grounded and see both sides and do both?
I'd have to say it's going to the shows. Never stop going to the shows. Never stop going to your local shows. Never stop going to the expos that are out there. Connect with the people. Remember why you did what you did, right? Remember why you had your first animal. You have to always go back to that, right? You always have to go back to the time. This is, however old you were, that magic that you felt at that time. So just on a side note, in my regular life, I call this is my fun. This is where I get to enjoy myself, right? In my regular life, I still do a lot of computer programming, right? And one of the things I remembered when I was 20 years old, and I just finished college and I was getting my job, was when I was able to do some programming and I turned computers up, and it was like magic, right? It was like, oh my goodness, all these computers are working now because I programmed them to do that, and it all is working, right? And they all turned on. At that moment, that was like magic to me, right? And I think that's what you need to chase, is that feeling of magic. No matter what, you'll find it in the smallest things, right? You'll find it in silly little things, but when you're at a show and you, just like, you mentioned, when you're at a show and you hand somebody an animal that's never had one before, and they're holding that animal and they're like, this is the best experience of my life right now, right? Like this is amazing. And then 10 years from now, they're probably still going to have that animal, right? And you're selling them a healthy, very well kept animal, right? So you're giving them something in the hobby that they will have for. That's life right there. That's better than anything, right? There is nothing that will match that moment of magic, right? I still believe in magic. I'm old, folks. I'm old, but there's not a day go by that when I turn my car on, it still feels like magic, right? So you got to look for that. You got to look for those small things that make you happy. right? That and that goes for anybody. And then you can see it in other people.
I tell you, man, um, a lot of times at shows and things, I don't know if people believe me when I say it, for me personally, but everybody's always pondering if you did well, if you made sales, and this, that, the other. And I get the most excited just by having people stop at my table talking to me, man. Like, I find that to be priceless because they can just walk by. And the more people that stop at your table that you can have a conversation with and do the things like you're saying and open up their eyes and just for them to see the passion that you have with your animals. Like I feel that passion from you, you know? Like I feel excited to continue talking to you and things like that. Like it's amazing. It's amazing. It's genuine.
It's
That's the
refreshing.
excitement. Yeah.
I love
It's
every minute
cool.
of it. Like there's no doubt. Like I live a, like there's no doubt that when I go to the shows, I have a good time. And so, at the end of a show, I know exactly what you mean. Like all the other vendors will be like, "How'd you do? How'd you do? How'd you do?" And my response, 99.9% of the time, is I had a great time.
Yeah. Me too.
And that's it, right? That's what it's about, right? I had a great time, you know. I got to meet some really cool people. I got to talk to some really great people, and I got to be around people that like the same stuff I like. And in life, how many times can you go to a closed a closed environment where you're going to see people that like all the same things that you like and you get to talk to them about it, right? And
Say
that
that
to me
again.
is gold, right? You can't buy that. You can't, doesn't matter how much money you make because I walked away from that experience a better person. I walked away from that experience happier. I walked away from that. Yeah, my feet hurt and I took 75,000 Tylenol to get me through the day because I'm old. But I walked away from it. I met some really cool people. I had a really good time. I got to spend some time with my nephew that I love every minute. I got to spend some time with people that I've made friends with and that I've connected with on a different level. And it's great, right? I can't ask for much more than that. So that's how you stay grounded,
Awesome.
right? You stay grounded when you find the small things that make you happy, right? And then you
So,
just
how does someone as positive as you are, how do you handle the inevitable negativity in the hobby? With in a hobby where we're seemingly constantly battling petty things. I think they're all petty. I believe they're all ridiculously petty topics. But how do you suggest someone coming into the hobby handles the inevitable? How do you handle it? What advice would you give someone that you could see potentially getting caught up in the drama of the hobby?
there's drama in everything. Drama in everything we do. You're going to see it, right? So either you live in the drama or you don't. And it's really that simple, right? It just depends on how you choose to live your life, right? Like how am I going to choose to live tomorrow? I'm going to, and my wife says this to me pretty regularly. I need to go to bed at night and put my head on the pillow and know that what I did that day is good. That's important. That's what's important because nobody will live that life for you, right? And nobody will do the things. So you have to be, you have to be that person that you're happy with, right? I have to go to bed at night and realize that today I did all right. Tomorrow I'm going to do better, right? But today I did all right and I did the things that make me happy and that I can live with, right? And if I made a mistake, okay, right? I made a mistake, but I'm not going to let that be who I am. And you can't let that be who you
I
are
like
because that's just going to take you over. And then that's it.
like it. Mark has an interesting theory on this stuff too, where it's with the drama in the hobby. There'd be a lot less drama if people were more willing to listen to each other, right? To be unbiased and hear someone out, right? It's like so many people are so quick to pick sides without hearing all the information, right? Like how can you just be so judgmental without hearing everyone out, right? Like I think that it's huge in the hobby when with this type of stuff to hear where people are coming from. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's definitely more way to than one way to look at things. It's super important in a hobby like this where it's always changing, it's always evolving. To be unbiased, right? To hear someone out. You don't have to instantly agree with them. And I mean, you can still have a conversation and not agree with them, right? You can agree to disagree. You can still be civil, polite, humble, and respectful above all, right? And we can all coexist. It's hearing
Absolutely.
people out is extremely important, I believe, right? It's almost insulting to act as if what someone has to say doesn't matter. It is insulting. It's
It is.
extremely insulting.
Yeah. And the newer
I think that
hobbyists too coming into they want to learn, right? They want to learn, they want to be in a non-judgmental way to help understand what to do. I feel like our jobs should be education, right? Our job should
sure.
be
They
educating.
are kind of. They are.
Yeah.
But
I mean they
Part
everything
should be.
it's part of it.
is.
It's part of it. That's what you have to sign up for. Is just not
Yeah.
put an animal in somebody's hands and keep it moving.
You
Absolutely.
you want them to succeed, right? And you want them to be successful in whatever they choose to do. And as long as you have that goal in mind, then that is respect, right? Because then that person's going to come to you and say, "Oh, I made this mistake." And I'm going to say, "You know what? Everybody makes mistakes. Let's see how we can fix it." Right? Um, but you don't want to come at them and say, "Oh, you did something wrong," right? You shouldn't have done that. Look at what, we
That's
all
it
make
right
mistakes,
there. You're
you
absolutely
know.
right. That's it. You hit the nail right on the head. That's one of the biggest deterrents, I believe, from keeping us from being as big as the cat and dog world, right? Because people are so quick to point out someone's flaws that I assure you they made themselves, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's as a hobby in general, we have to stop doing that, guys. Like we need to not point the finger, turn those mistakes into lessons learned for people and not deter them, right? Like just talk to people. And I know I'm not trying to get religious by any means, but treat people the way you want to be treated, man. It's as simple. It's very simple. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Talk to people how you would want your wife, your husband, your daughter. Talk to people how you would want people you care about spoken to.
1000%.
It's
It's a fine balance. You have to find a balance, like especially if you're the type of person that you want to deliver that type of information. You have to find a balance because holding back and not saying nothing could be detrimental,
of course,
and saying too much can also be detrimental. So you have to know how to deliver, so to
of
speak,
course.
and when to deliver, and when to, like, when you're raising your children, hey, you got to let them fall down. But I'm going to let you fall down, but I'm going to be here to help you up. But you're going to have to fall down and learn your lesson, you know?
For
Absolutely.
sure.
It's a fine balance.
I'm going
For
to put the
sure.
cover on the socket. I'm not going to let you stick the fork in the socket, but I will protect you in my own way, right? Like, so I'm going to put the cover on the socket, but I'm going to let you make
Yeah.
mistakes, right? I'm going to let you try to take the cover off the socket, but that's it, right? I'm not going to let you kill yourself. I'm not going to let you hurt yourself either, right? And that's where I think that fine line exists, right? And I think you're right. You do have to deliver bad news sometimes, right? That's part of our world, right? We have to say, don't
Life.
do this
It's life.
because
That's
this, yeah, you know.
that's being a
But
friend. That's being a
mhm,
friend. That's being a friend.
it is
Not
100%.
not speaking the truth is not being a friend. When I find my best friends will tell me the truth so that I'm able to course correct or continue going. I value that.
Hmm.
Not everybody does. I understand that as well. You know, some people can take it as, oh, you being, yeah, whatever. But I value that so much, because who else can I trust than the person that I consider closest to me to get
Hmm.
to deliver that information? I don't want a person I don't even know to tell me something. I want the person that I'm always talking with to tell me, "Hey, Mark, go shave your beard. You're looking crazy right now." Like, what's that type stuff, you know? I find so much value in that, and I think that that's one of the me personally, I think that that's one of the key things that's missing in the hobby, where you cannot speak. You, everybody considers everybody friends, but then as soon as you say stuff, it's like, oh, you're not my friend no more.
It's a
Yeah,
dying thing.
constructive
People are
criticism.
nervous of constructive criticism. They
Yeah,
don't like it.
it's rough. It's rough.
It's a cultural thing. It's society today, unfortunately. People have grown accustomed to hearing what they want to hear because that's just a way of being polite now, right? Like the best way to be polite is, well, tell so and so what you know they want to hear.
That's true too.
It
That's true
doesn't
too.
always
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think there's
it's not always
delivery, right?
interest.
Like you said, like it's delivery too, right? Like I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong, right? Like I'm going to say, hey, let's look at this, right? Let's see what you're doing. Let's take
yeah.
a look at it. Let's break it down, whatever you want to, I'm trying not to use corporate ease, right? I'm trying to, like, how do we want to
Yeah,
take a look at
yeah.
it? Like, is it a problem? Is it not a problem? And you know what? I could be wrong. And that's another thing too. Like Anthony, you said it. You got to be humble, right? Like I could be wrong. Things change every day in this hobby. Somebody might have something that they're doing that I've never thought of doing, or that I've never seen or experienced. And so I got to give them the benefit of the doubt first, right? Like I got to come at it with, and like maybe I just never knew that, or I never did it that way. I never, you know, maybe maybe I was overwatering my geckos. That's a big one, right? You hear that a lot. Like people overspray their geckos and then you've got problems, right? But they like humidity. No, well, that's maybe here nor there, right? Like they like water to drink, but they don't like high humidity, right? So if you're giving them water, how are you doing? So then there's the whole give them a bowl, not give them a bowl conversation that took place, and thankfully we've moved past that. But there's you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Most people don't want to come in and kill their animals, right? But that's not what they want to do, right? They want to better their animals, right? So what do you have to do to get to the point where they feel comfortable with the information you're giving them, right? Sometimes they don't want to hear it. They're like, nah, nah, you're hurting my feelings. This is personal. And the truth is, it's not personal. I'm trying to help you out, right? And, you know, New Jersey
Sure.
Italian here. I probably speak the truth a little too much sometimes, right? So
I don't
and
think there
my
is.
delivery is not always perfect, right? But at the same time, if I'm coming at it from my heart, I want to help you, right? I want to make it better for you. I also want to make it better for the animal, and I want to do it within their means, because that's another problem. Sometimes we want things a certain way for somebody else that they can't afford, that they can't own, that they can't have. So we have to come with that humbleness of, yeah, I have the privilege of having that. You don't. So how do we get you to a place where that animal is healthy and kept well, but you don't have to give that animal up, right? You may not be able to afford all of the things that people think you should have. But there are ways to do this on a budget, right? There are ways to do this
Sure.
with time management, right? There's ways to do this with, let's talk about what works for you and how do we fit this in your lifestyle, right? And I think that's a big one. I think it's a real big one. We want to sell things, right? We there's people that want to sell things, and I always used to be very skeptical, coming from the pet trade years ago, and where people were selling these big water dishes for, hundreds of dollars, and I could use a bowl from my kitchen, right? It's One doesn't look like the other, but I'm still providing water to the animal, and the animal's getting the water it needs. So maybe it doesn't look perfect. Maybe it's not the Instagram perfect picture. Maybe it's not the perfect scenario in the sense of what it looks like, but you're providing the needs to the animal, and you're doing it in the means with
Absolutely.
it which you have. So sometimes I think a lot of people don't realize that there's alternatives, right? You don't
What are
have to
some
have.
alternatives you would suggest? What are some things, some tips and hacks, for a better word, that you've picked up over the years that you think would be a huge help to new people in the hobby? What are some things you would suggest for someone that,
For both geckos and spiders.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, enclosures. Holy mackerel. We've gotten way out of hand with enclosures. We are charging thousands of dollars for enclosures. Now, if you can afford that, awesome. I give you all the props. Do what's within your means, right? If you can afford thousands of dollars for the most beautiful bioactive enclosure that you've ever seen in your life with $50,000 orchids on the inside and what have you, I think that's wonderful. I think it's great. But the average person can't afford that. The average person that wants to start off with their new gecko, they're not going to be able to afford that. They don't need that. They don't need a huge enclosure that's probably too big for them anyhow. And bioactive, non-bioactive, it doesn't matter, right? They can live comfortably in a smaller, not too small, don't get me wrong, but they can live comfortably in an enclosure that's not $500,000. Right? They can live comfortably in a startup that's, $100 to $200, right? And then they can have, what everything on the inside, you know, they don't need to have real plants because that doesn't fit in everybody's lifestyle. They can have fake plants. That's okay, right? And they can live happily in those fake plants, right? They just need ledges. They need things to walk on. They need vertical space. They need horizontal space. And that could be a pool noodle that you paid $1.25 for at the Dollar Tree, right? That could be a plant that you got at the Dollar Tree for, under $5 that you're going to go home and you're going to take care of. You're going to wash it. As long as it's prepared properly and you make sure that it's ready to go for the enclosure, you're golden. That could be a piece of bark that you get that you get at the show when you get the animal, right? That could be any of those things. It doesn't have to be exquisite, right?
Tree
And then,
branch you find on a walk with your dog?
yeah, as long as it's prepared properly, right? You don't have to be rich to have these things. You don't have to have significant funds to have, right? You just have to give them a life that's happy. And
Unless you're me and you want Xanthics, then you gotta kind of have money. Xanthics, cappuccinos, sables. You're gonna need some ducats.
I got you on that one. I want the fire too, no doubt, right? But it took me a long time to get here, right? Like I was not a young person that had all the money. I was eating ramen noodles with everybody else, you know, and I didn't have the life that had all of those things, right? I had a beat up old car, my first car. I had a life that I had to build, you know. So
Which is so
it's
cool about the gecko hobby too, because there really is a spot and a place for everybody. Like
absolutely
you really don't need $1 million to get into this. You can, I mean, I'm not suggesting anyone does, but for $100, even less, I hate to say, with some of these prices I've seen in some of these shows, you can get a gecko in an enclosure and pretty much everything it needs, to start with for very cheap. If you genuinely have a passion and you like want one of these animals, it's very feasible for everyone on every budget. It's the curiosity is there. You have the curiosity, the interest, the passion. It's very obtainable.
absolutely. And although I
Kids on the
support yeah, I mean, I support tarantula cribs, right? I love everything that they design. I'm not going to lie to you, right? And I probably have bought every piece of
Amazing.
stock that they have. I love tarantula cribs. Don't get me wrong, right? And I will support them to the day that I probably die because I think that they've done more for the hobby when it comes to enclosures and setups and education than most people have, right? So I appreciate everything that they've done. So I'm going to say that. However, coming into the hobby of tarantulas, that's expensive for somebody just coming in, right? An enclosure like that, you're going to put $50 into. That might seem expensive. And so you might not want to put $50 into that. Now he's got some lower end stuff, which is great. But you can go get a Tupperware. I'm not going to lie. You can get a Tupperware container. And as long as it's providing, you're providing the substrate it needs, the enclosure is going to be fine, right? It needs substrate, a piece of bark, some plants if you want to add that, it needs whatever the tarantula you're purchasing needs. Maybe it needs deeper substrate, maybe it needs, more of a terrestrial substrate, depending on whatever you're going to get, right? It likes to burrow, you want to give it that. You can do that with something that you can get at, Lowe's or, wherever, right? You can get like a, a Tupperware container, or you can get a tote, right? That you can buy. I started off getting clear totes, right? You can get them, make sure that they have the right ventilation. As long as you're providing for the animal that you're purchasing, including a tarantula, and you're doing that and with the animal in mind, right? Then that's great. There's no need to go crazy, right? You don't have to spend the $60 on the one enclosure and then go spend another $50 or $60 on the substrate that it needs, right? You can do that with stuff from Home Depot. You can do that, for like $5, right? A bag of dirt and clean it up. So if you have the passion,
Great.
I think if you have the passion for the hobby, you can do it no matter what. It doesn't matter how much, if I have $20 in my pocket, I can start, right? I always tell people that, you don't need significant funds to buy your first pet. You need significant funds to take care of your first pet. And that's going to be something that you have to grow with, right? You might not have it right now. You might not have $500, but you'll have enough to get started, right? You'll have enough to get started. You'll have enough that if the animal needs help, you'll be able to provide it the help it needs, right? And that's all that matters, right? Because if you're giving it a good life, it's great. That's what it needs. It needs a
I
good
have a
life.
random question you may have the answer to, and this literally just came to my mind. What happens when a spider gets sick? Do people take spiders to the vet? Is there like a bug doctor? What do you do? No?
Unfortunately, usually if you notice a spider getting sick, it's pretty much too late. They
Really?
don't show signs really a whole lot. The spiders in general, like as far as jumping spiders, true spiders, or tarantulas, the biggest threat to them is their habitat, right? They might have bugs that are infecting them in a bad way. Or the worst part, and I hate telling this to people because it has to happen, is molting, right? They can molt and then it'll turn into a problem. And there's nothing you can do as a keeper. There just isn't anything you can do. Sometimes a molt will kill them, right? And
What
you've
affects
done
that though?
everything.
Like humidity, substrate? What? I mean, are they like lizard, like geckos? Do they need a specific ambient
Yes,
temperature or environment? Is there something that helps that?
it depends on
I
the
know nothing
species.
about spiders.
It depends on the species, right? So you have to do your research on the species and determine like what the best habitat is, right? But let's just give a random one is like a Chaco golden knee, right? That's my favorite spider. And that is one that I will tell people if you have one, you need 20. They get very large, but they're my favorite, and they're just like puppy dogs. They're this big, beautiful brown
Tarantula or
spider.
is the
It's a tarantula.
tarantula?
Yeah. They're terrestrial, so they need like space that they can walk on, right? They do burrow. Mine likes to burrow, so I give him a little. Most of mine have like a burrowing spot, but they don't need a deep substrate, right? They just need like a
My girlfriend
decent
had a
substrate.
jumping spider, and she wants a tarantula now. And I told her I would start inquiring about these things because I know nothing about them. She
I'll send
babysat
you.
one.
I'll
One of her
send you a
coworkers had a
Chaco.
jumping spider.
I'll send you a
Are
Chaco.
they
You give me.
really?
I'll send it to her. Got it. It's the best first spider
That's
you can ever have. It's the best one you can ever have.
really
Yeah. I recommend that one
that's
Chuck,
funny.
times 10. Easiest to take care of as far as I'm concerned. You can make mistakes with them, and
Really.
that's what's nice, right? You can make a mistake, like the humidity doesn't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to worry so much about them. They survive well. They molt well. I and they don't kick hairs nearly as much as some of your others. So for a New World
So that's
species. New World,
a new world.
yeah,
New world tarantulas don't.
yeah. It does. It won't. Well, they kick hairs, right? Like that's you'll hear that. Like they that's the part of their defense mechanism is they have what's called articulating hairs on their abdomen, and they will shuffle that hair off to a predator. So, and what it does is it feels like,
New world tarantulas do it. New world
yes, New World.
tarantulas do that, and the old world tarantulas have more venomous. They're more venomous or toxic or whatever.
They all have venom. They all have venom, but the old world tarantulas, some of them can have what they call medically significant venom. So that medically significant venom, and they tend to do a little bit more threat posing. Um, they'll, but they'll run first. I'll just be honest with you. Like if you give them a place to run, they'll do that before they come. They're not going to threat pose you unless you force them to threat pose you. At least I've never experienced that. Some people will prod at them, and then you're going to get the response that you prod at an animal with, right? So if you're trying to feed them, sometimes I tongue feed, so I'll take the tongue with an animal, and I'll tongue feed, and I'll get a threat pose, right? Like they'll go up on its back, and you'll get a threat pose. I can get that from any of them if I really wanted to, just to be honest. But it's no different than any other animal. If you're doing something they don't like, they're going to show you that they don't like it, right?
Sure.
And but a medically significant tarantula, such as an old world species, their their main thing is to run away, like they'll run from you, or they'll threat pose you, like they'll get up on their back and show you their fangs a little bit. Um,
So you work
they,
with both? You work with new
I do,
and old world?
yes, I do. I don't sell old world though. I haven't gotten into the old. I just actually got my first Vietnam blue hatchlings, so I
Oh,
haven't.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
that
Oh, they're awesome. They're beautiful. I mean,
beautiful.
Are they really blue?
the legs
But
are
it
like this.
was also the most aggressive thing I've ever had in my life. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be
they
honest
went.
with you.
Yeah, they'll come out at you, but I love feeding them. They're fun as anything to feed. Like you can give them anything, and they just
Yeah,
show up. It is so fun to watch them eat. They have a
yeah.
wonderful food response.
It's a beautiful spider, but that was my first ever tarantula, and I bought it at a show, Westchester County Reptile Show, and it was labeled pink rose hair tarantula.
Oh no!
And as I was walking around the show, one of the other vendors was like, "Oh, what you got there?" And I'm like, "I got myself my first tarantula." And he grabs it from me. They sold it to me for $15 in the little cages, everything. And when he's looking at it, he's like, "Oh, hey." He called his boy over. He's like, "Hey, they sold this kid a rose hair. That doesn't look like a rose hair, right?" And the guy's like, "Oh, that's a Vietnamese blue." And he's like, "Be careful with that." And I'm like, "Oh boy." It was fun for the first 2 weeks until I had to clean out the cage. And then telling you more, you I've never seen the how they show tarantulas move on Instagram and TikTok and all of that stuff, and how they move very slow.
It's not how they
That
move.
thing was the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life, like straight out of the Alien movie. I said, "Oh," but I am still interested. That scared me for quite some time, but now currently I have my eyes on a Brazilian jewel
Oh,
is
everybody
what
wants a
I
Brazilian
am
jewel.
looking at.
So
It's
I'm going to
they
say
just
this, and
beautiful.
I'm unpopular opinion. Here's my unpopular opinion about Brazilian jewels. They're beautiful when you see them. They're a trapdoor spider. So they live in the bark of a tree, and you will see them so infrequently. But then if you've had a Vietnam blue, it's the same thing. You only see the front of their legs
Yeah,
sometimes, and then you feed them.
yeah.
Um, the jewels are beautiful. I mean, they're amazing when you see them, but you'll very, very rarely see them. So I always point people away from the jewel and into something like a versicolor. like a Carabiner versicolor, a pink toe, Antilles pink toe. They
Oh,
get
okay.
this
Yes.
magenta body and this absolutely like iridescent blue carapace that you're just kind of like enthralled with, right? And so I always tell people like, if you want a jewel, great, go for it. Don't ever let me stop you. But if you want to see something that you're going to see more of, go for the Carabiner versicolor, or that's their common name, the Antilles pink toe. And that's probably one of that spider is just, that's my favorite spider. Like on top of, so I have terrestrial favorites, I have arboreal favorites. And my favorite arboreal
Mm.
spider is the versicolor. That is times 10 my absolute favorite arboreal species. And I let them out sometimes, so I'll let, because the versicolors, they'll, any of your pink toes, they bolt a little bit, but they're very slow. So they're more like the pictures that you see where they walk slowly, you know? So I'll let them out on my plants, like I'll hold them and just let them sit on like top plants. And they'll hang out on the top plants and they just walk around and sort of do their thing on the top plants. And then that's usually how I clean their enclosures. Or if it's time for me to switch them to a different enclosure, I'll let them hang out on the plants and then I'll put them back, put them away. But that was my first species that I ever actually produced myself, was a versicolor. And
Wow.
yeah, baby blueberries everywhere. This is what they call the babies. They're little blueberries. And so I would say don't get me wrong, get the jewels. Like they're beautiful. But if you want something that you're going to see more, go with a versicolor.
Are they around the same size, or which is bigger?
The jewel's a little smaller than a Versi. A Versi is going to get to be maybe 3, 4 inches, like a little bit bigger than the palm of your hand, you know. Leg span will be about 3 to 4 inches, but the jewel is going to be a little smaller. They'll be a tad bit tinier, and then it also depends. Males tend to be smaller than females, so it just depends on what you get. And a female will live 20 years, and a male will live 5 years at best. So that's the sad thing about getting them is um, until you know if you have a female or male, you don't know how long you're going to be keeping that spider, right? Because the male tends to live a shorter lifespan, which is lucky about the geckos, right? We don't have that problem. Males live just as long as females, so that's a nice thing. And the one thing that always interests me is the different is, especially in the gargoyle world, people look at the males and that's their foundation male, right? You hear that, right? This is my foundation male. And that foundation male then brings those traits to several generations, right? So like a Deadpool, or like, you have all these beautiful male in the species. And then so it's interesting because it's opposite in other hobbies, right? It's the females we care about in the tarantula, right? It's not the males, right? It's actually the females that I care about for genes and ball pythons. I don't know if you're familiar. You want all the genes in the female of that ball python, right? But in the
Mm.
gargoyle world, we want the male to have all of the beautiful color and all of the genes, which is just an interesting observation that I'm making recently that I never really thought about until now. And I don't really know why that is, but something interesting, something that I think is interesting.
Do you know what a regal jumping spider is?
I have 650 of them.
Do you really? I'm asking
Yeah.
my girlfriend. I was texting her, telling her I was talking to someone that breeds spiders. She's like, "No way," because it died. Hers died, and she's like, doesn't know about this world. She has zero idea that this world exists. When I try to explain to her, she's like, "Just no way. You can't just buy them." Like she got, like I said, it was not a gift, but a coworker of hers asked her to babysit it, and they just never asked for it back. And she had it for years and loved the thing. Would hold it, would do everything with it, and it's just a funny thing, but I didn't know what it was. I know nothing about
Yeah,
spiders. I was
so
like, but I
the
know
the
people that know things about spiders.
yeah, so the Regal is the most common. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of
Really?
Lucas the spider. Look him up if you ever get a chance. It's a little cartoon character that's how children and how people have just started observing jumping spiders. And Lucas the
What is it?
spider,
Rufus?
Lucas with an L, Lucas.
Lucas.
Yeah. Um, that spider has kind of propelled people into the world of jumping spiders. And that spider is an
Ah,
example. Yeah, he's that spider is the example of a regal spider. That's a regal spider. Uh, Regius, regal. Yeah. So
What's
so
the difference
there's
between these little things I find all around my house?
depends on the spider. So if it's a jumping spider, right? So you'll have
Yeah.
they're usually from different regions of the United States, and then there's different species within those regions, right? Different genus, different species. Um, so you'll have like I don't know what state do you live in? Sorry,
I'm
in
in Connecticut. I'm like
Connecticut.
close
Okay,
to you.
so then you're gonna find audex, bold spiders. You're gonna find jumping spiders that are tans or grays. That's what lives in
Yeah.
this area in the northern part of the country, right? We're going to find all of those types of jumping spiders. They're a little smaller. They're a little bit more wild. Regals, the reason why people like them so much is because they have a face that you can see. So you can clearly see their eyes. There's a pattern around their abdomen that's kind of cool that looks like little hearts. People like that, right? They see them and they like that. My favorite jumping spider, if I were to say is my favorite, and also I would say probably the calmest, is an Arden's jumping spider, right? So it's a Phidippus, the same genus as the Regal, right? But it's an Arden's, and they're from like the desert area. They want a drier climate, right? Warmer, drier climate is what they want. And that particular spider, I think, is the calmest of them. They you can have them sit for hours and they don't move. They just kind of hang out. They look at things and observe things. Regals are a little bit more hyper when they're little, and as they get bigger, they calm down. Uh, Ardens tend to be that way right out of the nest. You know, they tend to just be calmer for their entire lives. So, but they don't
Is the
have the face.
Ardens something you would recommend the Ardens for a beginner
I recommend the
better than a
Ardens
Regal?
for, yeah, I actually do. They're harder to find though, and that's
Okay.
another problem, right? There's not a lot of breeders
Oh,
out there.
really?
And the reason that they're harder to find is because they don't have the face or the abdomen that people like, right? So this goes back to like morphs, right? Like morphs and crested geckos. People like red, so they stick to red. People like tricolor, so they stick to tricolor, right? And the reason I always breed tricolor is because everybody's eyes at a show looks at a tricolor. You can almost guarantee it if it's their um first at all, like they've never even had a lizard of any kind, right? And they're coming to your table. They see a tricolor and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's three colors." And it's shiny and new to them and they get very excited about it. And the same thing with spiders, right? So something that takes your attention, like a regal where you can see its eyes move and you can see its face and you can see the body looks like it has hearts on its abdomen. That's really exciting for people. A, a Arden's is black, so you can't really see its eyes move as much, right? And it has a red abdomen with not a whole lot of markings. So a lot of times people will look at it and say, "Ah, okay, it's kind of cool, but I don't get to see it's not looking at me like when it looks up and the things that it does with its front feet as it's moving around its face. You can see all of that in a regal where you can't really see that in Arden's. So people will go to what they like to look at, right? No different than geckos, right? So they'll look at a tricolor that's three different colors that look shiny, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, that's incredible! I want that," you know. And same thing with like, it's what you like, right? What you can see, what looks different to you, what looks interesting to you. And Lucas the spider has made everybody love spiders because he shows all of the movements that a regal does, and he looks up and you get that eye movement that you get with a spider that's very interactive, right? And so people love that, right? So that's why regals became so popular. And
Very cool.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like the shows are the best, man. You just can't beat it. I still love going. I can't wait. I can only probably make time for one show a month. If it were up to me, I could probably do four a month easily, right? And my family would hate me. I would be.
Are you doing any of the online shows? Are you doing any like Palm Street or Morph
I
Market
did Palm
Live
Street.
popcorn style?
I did Palm Street last year. I I like being a part of Palm Street. It's funny. So I love being the audience of Palm Street, right? I haven't quite figured out how to do that platform in a way that people enjoy it yet, right? So I'm still kind of working on that online presence because I love the I love the interaction with other humans. I love talking
Sure,
to people,
for
and
sure.
so and I think you can get that online. Don't get me wrong. I think you can. I just haven't figured that part out yet. I'm hopefully soon though. I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to do more Palm Street. I'd like to do some different on. I used to do on like Facebook and Instagram. I would go on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I would do educational stuff for spiders. Right, I would teach people how to take care of their spiders, and show them the different types of spiders they could have. And then I started getting into geckos because there's a lot of information about geckos, and I think people get overloaded with a lot of that information. So I want to bring people back down to the basics, right? I don't want people to get too into the weeds because it confuses people. And like you said, Mark, you can give people too much information and then they don't hear anything, you know? So I used to do a lot more of that, and I would then have my friends join me for spiders because we all do things a little differently, and it's nice to hear what their perspectives are. So, but I would like to get more into that eventually. I'll get more into the palm trees.
Stay consistent, Heather. Stay consistent. Dedicate your show, dedicate your time, and just keep going. You'll find your way.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
fun.
I hope
You'll
so.
fi-
I mean, having
you you
I want to have fun. That's really what I want to do.
yeah.
You
You'll
definitely have a
you'll find
passion.
your
That's
people.
clear as day.
You'll have fun for sure. For sure. Especially with your attitude and your positivity, it will come for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to hear. You know,
How
I
far how far do you travel for your shows? Sorry.
I
It's
go
like what you
to
wanted to say you do once a month. Where how far will you do you actually go?
so I go to right now as far as I've gone is West Virginia, which is an 8.5 hour drive from here. Um, and I did that one first because I felt like I was competition for my friends that live in this area, and I didn't want to compete with them. So I drove a far distance away to try not to compete with them. And then I realized that it's not competition. And that was a few years back when I did that first show.
There you
And and then I started to realize
there you
it's not competition. I actually enjoy hanging out with my friends at a show. And I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy making new friends. And so then I started doing a lot of shows here. So 8.5 hours was the furthest I went. Now I am doing one um, in North Carolina. So I will be driving out to North Carolina in August, I believe. It's a Show Me Reptiles show. So I'll be doing that. But I love Repticons. I love to do Repticons. I love to do All American. I think the promoters of both of those shows are amazing. I like them a lot. The
Heard
West
incredible
Virginia
things about those shows.
times 10 worth doing, worth going to. You have one next to you, you'll get a wide variety of animals, which I love, right? I love going to a show that has all sorts of stuff, right? And then the not only that, but like the there's a West Virginia expo, great expo. Huntington, West Virginia, probably one of my favorite expos. Um, the group there is great to work with, and there's again a lot of different options there. The one thing they from doing all the shows is it gets slightly expensive because you have to apply for a license in most of the states that you're doing the shows. So like New York, I think was a little bit more expensive. So I didn't do anything in New York, right? Just because I didn't want to go through the licensing of that. And I didn't do it. And believe it or not, I don't do anything in New Jersey, which is right next to me, just because of the expense of the license. Like they charge a little bit more. And I figured, they're smaller shows, not worth spending as much on that. So I tend to go south. I haven't really done anything north. Um, but maybe one
Is it
day.
a one-time fee, or is it every time you go to a show you got to pay for that license
Oh no, it's a one-time fee,
In New
but
York?
in New York,
for
yeah, it's a
for the
one-time
year?
fee for the year, and then you have to redo it again. And then you have
Renew it.
to.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't go, Mark. I'm telling you, I like panicked. I was like, I was gonna go vend the White Plains show, and then I panicked and was like, I'm not a vendor's license to this, to that. I was like, just not do it.
That's the thing with
Guess
New
it's
Jersey is,
it's a necessary.
yeah, the thing with that's another
You
thing
just
though,
gotta do
because
it, man.
there's legal stuff, right? So there's like all as far as like what you're selling. So for some states, they don't let you sell certain things, right? Like silly things that don't make any sense, right? Like I can't sell a ball python in New Jersey, but I can drive
Really?
5 minutes
Really?
down the road and buy one in Pennsylvania, right? So like there's,
Hey,
you know what I mean? It's kind of silly. It doesn't
it,
make a whole lot of
yeah,
sense.
it it's like that. It's like that. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. Like, iguanas are banned in Florida, and they're running around all crazy, and they want you to kill them, but they don't want you to sell them to other places. Like, let's kill the animals instead of selling them to people who want them out of the state. It's weird, but hey,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't know you can't you can't sell a ball python in Jersey because you're bringing them in from Pennsylvania, but people that live in Jersey can sell them in Jersey.
I think that's how that works, or
Yeah.
it's, I don't really know the legality of it, but like I know that when I was signed, when I was going to go through the process, because there's a show that's literally not even an hour from my house. So I thought, well, I'll go give that a shot. And while I was looking at the rules, they were like, I don't sell ball pythons. I just started in the ball python world. So, but if I wanted to, then that would be a difficult prop that I just learned as I was going through the signing up for the license. It said in there no ball python. So I was like, interesting. But yeah, there's all those weird sort of caveats that you have to kind of like, native species, big one, right? Including jumpers, right? I don't sell bold or audex spiders in Pennsylvania or anywhere where they're native, right? So because you shouldn't be selling native species, and then you have to get a special wildlife license to do that.
I mean, I understand that, but
Yeah.
Although
keep
audex
people from
spiders are
going and
pretty
catching
cool.
them. A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, well, audex spiders are pretty cool. They're
Are
little
they
black.
are they are they are they protected or something? Like,
No, I mean, you can sell them in other states, right? So I can sell a bold spider in California, right? I can sell an audex spider in other states. I just can't sell native species in certain states. So, like West
I think
Virginia
it's just
doesn't
to keep
allow,
them from catching them
yeah, it's to stop people from taking animals just
with
and then,
box turtles and stuff, wood turtles. They try to, it's a
yeah,
big
but
deal.
those are protected. Like the eastern box turtle is a protected species,
It is.
and yeah, I believe it's
I find them jokers all the time.
endangered. I believe it's endangered. No, the eastern box turtle.
Could be. I know where I know I know there's a bunch of them.
Well, I was trying to get one. That's why I. Oh, it's not okay. They're considered vulnerable.
Very,
So
very cool species though. Very, very
I
interesting animal.
love I absolutely love that turtle.
Coolest
I
pet I
don't
ever had
find
as a
them.
kid was a box turtle, eastern box turtle named Chatham. I found him up in Massachusetts.
I
My
had a
dude.
Chinese box turtle named Phoebe.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, turtles are neat. I
yeah,
like
man.
the land turtles. I had aquatic turtles, which are fun, but they're messy. But I had a few of those growing up as
Nessie.
a kid. Yeah, you're messy, messy.
I have a red ear slider. I'm a 44. I've had a red ear slider since it was this big,
Yeah,
and
Chinatown?
it's
Yeah.
$5, and my nephew still has it to this day. It's like this huge,
yeah,
and it's been like 25 years. He will not get rid of the turtle or let it. I told him to bring it to the Bronx Zoo. He will not do it, and he's had it forever.
Yeah, I made the
And the
mistake
turtle
of
knows me when I go to New York and I go to the
it sees
tank.
you. It
That
sees you.
the thing pops out. Yeah, it knows.
Sees
It
you.
knows me. It's
They're
interesting.
pretty cool. Like I had a little red-eared slider. It got sick and I couldn't. I took it to the vet and it was already too late. It had some like upper respiratory infection and it couldn't. But I got it when it was really little. Like we weren't allowed to have turtles in New Jersey and I grew up in New Jersey, so there was this. Somebody must have dropped it off at I don't know, like in the backyard of somebody's house, and they found it and person didn't know what to do with it, and I ended up taking it home because they didn't know. And it was so tiny. It was like little. And I think it was probably somebody's pet that they didn't want anymore and they just let it go. And so I took it home and I was like, all right, well, I'll keep it for a little while. And like 5 years later, I still have this turtle. 6 years later, I still have this turtle. 7 years later, I'm like going to college and I'm like, what am I going to do with this turtle when I go to college? And my dad's like, all right, I'll take care of it for you. So I gave him to my dad, and my dad, he built him a 200-gallon tank in the house. He
That's
built him
about
this.
what they need, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it was crazy. But that was years ago, they didn't have the like you couldn't get a tank that was that big, right? And you mentioned that there's so many changes in the hobby. I mean, even just enclosure changes for like years ago, my dad used to make his own enclosures because you couldn't buy them what you need, especially for larger snakes. Like you couldn't buy anything big enough for snakes. I mean, what was your option? A 55-gallon
Is
tank.
that what he was working with? Big snakes?
Yeah. Yeah, he worked
Is
with
that
like
what he worked with? Big snakes?
reticulated pythons and
It's
things like
funny you
that.
say it's exactly what my father did. That's how I got into this. My father and my uncle used to breed Burms, retics, and big old, at that time, they were just Colombian red-tailed boas, but and Argentinian red-tailed boas. Now, God
Yeah.
only knows there's a million different names for them and
Yeah, there were
whatnot.
no
But yeah,
more.
that's how I got into it.
Yeah, retics, if you remember then
No.
you when you
I
were
remember when the first. I remember when Bob Clark made the first albino Burmese came out. Man, it like changed my father's life. It was awesome.
that's how my dad felt. He was like, I mean, he told everybody. He was like, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" He was so excited, and then he got like so into it. He was into like ball pythons and not so much. I can't say that. He did a lot with ball pythons, but he really liked the bigger snakes. That was more his fun. And he got when he got the first retic, I was like, "No way, Dad! I'm not taking care of that." I mean, it was like it was a massive
Rock
snake.
pythons. It was rock pythons.
That's
African
right.
rock pythons,
Yep.
Burmeses, and the retics were like the big it thing in the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and that snake was massive. I mean, he was wild caught, so God knows how old he was.
Now
And
they
yeah,
all were. All of them.
yeah.
Savages, those animals.
But the greens were so cool. I remember like you'd see that green line through the body, and you were like, "Whoa, that's insane." Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful animals. It's pretty. It's nice to see how much the hobby's evolved in that time. I mean, I consider myself extremely blessed to have seen the evolution. And where we are today. There's some things I miss, granted. I, in a sense, almost feel like there was more camaraderie back then. People understood. I don't want to say hacks, but people understood sometimes you got to do what you got to do type of deal. Today there's a lot, and I'm not knocking it. Not saying I don't think it's good, but ethics and other things get involved, and egos are involved today, and it doesn't always suit the animal best. It suits the keeper and the keeper's image. And back then it was like the animals. That's it. The animals. Like there's no big names, no social medias, none of this reptile fame thing. It's the animals, and that I miss.
Well, they were trying to keep him alive. There wasn't a whole
Definitely
lot
do.
of literature out there. You know what I
For
mean?
sure,
Like
for sure, for sure.
there,
Absolutely. It's very, elementary
My dear
in
Watson,
general,
very
but
elementary.
today, granted, we have more technology and things are better and we have better options and there's more information, absolutely. But back then, beautiful, as crazy as it sounds, there was beauty in that simplicity, just keeping them alive, right? Like it was, ball pythons used to have to feed what people would think. You would have to feed gerbils, and you couldn't get them to eat. You fed them gerbils because that's what they ate in the wild. And they weren't gerbils, they're African short hair, things that they ate, but still, again, it was just different. But
Yeah.
again,
Hard to
valuable,
get big
very, very
animals for the
valuable. We
big
couldn't be where
snake.
we are today if it weren't for them.
No, no way,
People
man.
forget
They
that.
were,
Not even say forget that, they just don't know. They don't
yes,
know.
right?
People today don't know what we went through as a hobby to get where we are today.
I mean, just think about how I was just reading an article, crested gecko diet, something that we take for granted every day, right? Um, what did they have when they first brought this over? So I was reading recently about, I wanted to go back into the history of how they came here because I've always thought like the bigger breeders like Mac and the ACR were like the people that brought the animals to the hobby, but that's actually not true, right? There were two biologists that went to New Caledonia and they brought back two, um,
Bauer and
yeah,
German, the other guy, another German
Alexander,
guy or
right?
French guy or something.
Yeah, and they brought back the two
I don't know
different,
the other. I know Bauer.
yeah, and but they there was an article that came out and there was an interview with him and they asked him what they fed the animals when they came here, right? And he said mostly bugs and like whatever they had around, and then they would mash up some banana, right, and feed him some mashed up fruit. And I was like, wow, we take that for granted. Like, could you imagine if we had to like
Jarred
feed them?
baby food.
Yeah, and baby food. It's like, boy, we take it for granted how far we've come, even in the short time that crested geckos have been around since 1994. Since they've been around, in that short time, we've come so far, right? We've built incredible morphs. I have an F3, which I got from Tiki's, from David, and that F3 amazes me every day that I look at him, right? Because he looks so different than what today is a crested gecko, right? So I'm like, it's incredible how much they've changed, right? And how much we've grown from that original species that came in, from that original morph, whatever we're calling it, the original, the OG that got here, right? It looks completely different. He's narrow, his head is narrow, his body is narrow. He's just a very different color wise. He has every color of the rainbow in him. Like if you look at him, you will see every color of the rainbow. It's amazing, right? And then somebody said, "Hey, I really like orange." Right? That's literally how it happened, right? I literally like orange, so I'm going to breed that, right? And I'm going to create orange because this one's more orange than that one. And I'm just going to do that, right? And then the next thing you know, we have tricolor, right? And then holy mackerel, like what a crazy scenario, right? Going from something that is so dark in color that has that's just everything, right? To taking that and breaking it down per the morphs, right? It's incredible. I think it's amazing. Like I look at it and I'm like, how did we get from here to here in that short time, right? Where we're now at fire, where we've removed every pigment of that animal, right? And here we are. And we did it without genetically knowing what we were doing, right? Like we did it without taking blood from this animal and really understanding what we had. We just said, there's art, right? That's the art. I like that color. I like that color. I like that color. I like that color. Let's put that all together and see what happens, right? It's pretty crazy to think that we can do that, that we have.
A lot of leopard geckos, ball pythons.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, It's amazing what's selective. I mean, shit. I mean, not even to get crazy or off topic, but look at dogs.
Yeah,
Look at dogs. Look what we've turned a wolf into.
exactly. It's insane.
They brought back the dire wolf.
I know. I love that. I want to
Interesting.
actually see that.
I,
I've
I
been following it. Did you
mean,
see that
so
they're going to bring back the woolly mammoth? I want to see that too. I'm ready
Dodo
for that.
bird. They've
I
hatched. They've
heard,
hatched or have created dodo bird egg, dodo bird embryo.
yeah,
Its company's name is Colossal Bioengineering. Actually, a huge part of how I got into reptiles, well, this aspect of reptiles in general, is CRISPR, gene editing. But yeah, they're doing some amazing, 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 amazing things. Like they could quite literally, if they wanted to, do a whole Jurassic Park ordeal, like easily. But
and I'm a huge
Hopefully they
Jurassic
won't
Park
get too
fan.
crazy.
I'm a huge. I like. I want to. I know
Too.
it's terrible, but like I'm all in. Let's see what we can do. I'm excited to see. I want to see the woolly mammoth for the first time. I want to be.
I would
Like
definitely buy a raptor. I'd have a
yeah.
velociraptor.
Could you imagine what the reptile world would actually look like if we brought that stuff back?
Dangerous. Human civilization would probably shrink a little bit, but
I think I'd
yeah,
be the first to
it'd
die.
be
Look how
interesting.
cute that is. I must love it. I'd be the first out. How
I've
you
been
doing,
watching
little
all the. I've been
Velociraptor?
watching.
You're so pretty. Look at that blue.
I've been watching all the Jurassic Parks over again. I just watched 2 of them last night.
Yeah, yeah. I love them.
Yeah,
I love
those
them.
are cool.
First one's probably still my favorite, though.
It's the most exciting one to me because the rest of them is like, the first one was really so Heather, what's I know you're working on your hypo projects and stuff like that. When it comes to crusties and the spiders, are you anything planned that you're super duper excited besides the hypos that you're moving into or
So I'm also moving into house snakes. So that's a fun project for
oh
me. So doing some house
oh
snake. Yeah. So that's neat going into the different
I,
morphs that are coming with that too. Hmm.
there's a lot of I was speaking to a gentleman. He's got a lot of house snakes. Damn, I don't remember the name right now, but like I want to say like an
Garrett from Reach Out Reptiles, Garrett Hartle. He's breeds a lot of retics, dwarf retics, but he's big into the house snakes too.
yeah,
House
but
snakes,
this guy has been at
amazing.
the shows. This guy's been at the shows and has like 4 tables full of all types of morphs of house snakes and everything. I've where did I see him at? Did I? It excited me when I saw it because I've never really looked into house snakes.
They look like little
Maybe I
mini
seen it.
pythons, like
Yeah,
little
yeah,
mini berms or something.
yeah. They're kind of cool,
They're
and there's a
super
lot
cool.
of morphs to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they make great pets too.
Incredible pets.
yeah.
Like
That's
they
really
are
nice.
they call them the garter snakes of Africa, right? Like so except I like garter snakes too, but I could do without the musk that a garter snake produces. And this is like that
I
animal
like
without the
garters.
musk. I like garter snakes. I think they're pretty cool. When I was a kid, I used to put them on my fingers and dangle them around.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
that
no,
was my
they
that was my favorite thing to catch.
yeah, you can catch them right outside. You can next thing you know, you have a pet garter snake. I used to, but we used to like that. I like them, but they smell. They have that musk smell every so often. Um, whereas like the house snakes have the same. They have a really calm personality, and so you can pretty much hang with them the whole day. Like I hold mine all the time. They're pretty cool, and they're calm. They're not as jittery as maybe even a garter snake can be. They're fun, and so that's a project that I just started. Excited to start breeding into that. And then for geckos, I just started with gargs too. So I got my first eggs for gargs. Um, I got a pair from Centaur from Jamie. So I got some beautiful gargs from her, and I now am going to have Queenie, which was one of her females. She's this beautiful red stripe. So I have a red stripe project. And the male, who I call Grover, is a pastel stripe. So I'm really excited to see what happens with a pastel stripe and a red stripe. And so I got their first eggs that are fertile, thankfully. I got a bunch of duds, but this time I finally got a pair just recently. Last week was my first fingers crossed Garg project. So I'm psyched to see what they
I'd
produce.
love to see what that does myself.
They're
Interesting.
fun. They're so different, right? Gargs, so they growl. I didn't know Gargs growl. right? They literally growl at you. I had no idea, right? So I stuck my hand in there to pick her up, just to kind of check her out. And she just wasn't having it that day. Like that was just not her day to be held. And I picked her up and she like growled at me. She didn't make any movement. She just like growled. And I'm like, is that a dog? Like where I have two dogs. And I'm like, is my dog growling? And I looked at her and she's like breathing this growl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they growl. And and just personality wise, they're calmer than I think gecko crusties are a little bit. Like she doesn't nearly get as hyper as like my crusties do. So both of them tend to be pretty chill. But when she doesn't want to be bothered, she'll let you know. She growls at you. So I'm like, there you go. So that's a fun project. I'm excited for that one. And then I got two females from Anthony Caponetto on the red stripes. So I'm excited to to breed them.
Dexter line?
Yes, Dexter line. Yep. Yeah. I'm excited about those. They're beautiful. I mean, the red stripe on the back is so vibrant. Like it's this beautiful red stripe. And I still am into the blacks, like the black striping. And then I like what they in the sides of the body of a gargoyle, if it looks like an armband tattoo, that little black striping armband tattoo. I think that is the coolest thing. I don't know what that's called. I don't know that they have anything specific that that's called other than a red stripe with that kind of design. But I love that design. So both of the females I got from Anthony have that design on the side, and I'm super excited to see if I can produce that. So yeah,
Awesome.
so the Gargs are fun. I'm just diving in. Like I feel like when you're a kid and you want to do all these things and you don't have the money to do it. Now I have adult money and I get to play, right? So it's
Hey,
I get to just play. I'm still one of those people that spends way too much money and time on Morph Market. I shouldn't be doing that, right? And I go to a show and I spend more than I make. It's just life, right? Like I'm still one of those people that love the whole experience of everything, right? And so that's how I got into the house snakes. Somebody was selling one. And I was like, Laurelborn, who's an amazing breeder, if you ever want to get into house snakes. Laurelborn is just, she produces some amazing stuff. And she's been doing it for years. She got a lot of her stuff, she told me, from Bushvale, who brought house snakes into the United States. Um,
that's who I'm talking about.
yeah,
That's exactly who I'm talking about. Bush. Yeah, I
Bushvale.
was trying to remember. I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm talking about.
they pretty much brought everything that we have here. So like it came from them as far as breeding quality house snakes, right? That came from them. So I got my first snake from Laurelborn, Morpheus, and he had a little bit of a nip tail, so she gave me a deal on him because I fell in love with him. She was holding him at the show, and I was like, he's kind of cool. And they have this iridescence about them. If they shine, they're like black, but they shine blue, and they have these little blue markings in the body, and it is just, I just think it's amazing. I have a thing with iridescence, which is probably why I like the spiders, which is why I like the really cool colors in the gargs. I love their eyes when they shine. The purples that are in I iridescent to me is, you know, shiny, that it's just so pretty. So that iridescence in the house snakes, they look black until you move them around the light. And then you'll see all these colors, right? You'll see all these different blues and reds and browns that you would have never seen, just amazing colors. So she was holding him at the show and the light was hitting it, right? And I'm like, is that blue? I'm like, that looks like blue on her face. And she stopped and she goes, yeah, yeah. She's like, look, it's blue. And I was like, okay, all right, I just have to have one. I'm gonna walk away with a snake. So I got him 3 years ago, and I wasn't planning on doing any breeding, but then um, he's just amazing. And then I was talking to her at another show. She only goes to one show in the area, Oaks, um, and that's the Oaks, Pennsylvania show. And she that's the only show she really does. And so whenever I'm always there. Like I'm like the first at her table. Like before I open my own table, I go to see her. And I'm like, I want to see what you got. And she's got some beautiful stuff and worth working with. As a matter of fact, Mike from what is the name of the Heirloom Geckos? Oh no, Heirloom. heirloom. He is doing house snakes too, and he got a few from Laurelborn as well. So they have great stuff there. She produces really good stuff. So that's my next. I call it my side quests. I have lots of side quests. Right, gotta jump off and play a side quest. That's my side. Along with a ton of morning geckos. I don't know why I love them so much, but I just do. I think everybody should have 7 or 8 colonies
You're
of
not
morning geckos.
alone. A lot of people love them.
Ugh, they're amazing.
Which type do you breed?
I have 8 colonies right now, and of the 8 colonies, I have 2 Hawaiian or the type C's, right? And then I've got the standard type A's, and I have a type B colony as well. Um, and so I love them all. I think they're all really cool. I think the Hawaiians with that dark color and the orange bellies are really cool to look at. And they're also fun because they interact with each other. If you get a nice size enclosure, right, and you put 10 in there, the way they interact with each other, you'll have one up here telling them it's time for food. You'll have another one. And if you throw a bunch of fruit flies in there, you'll see the one up there telling everybody else that the fruit flies are there, right? So one goes up top and she starts wiggling her tail, and then the other one comes down wiggling her tail, and then they get everybody all in. And then if you put the food in and you watch them all eat together, it's just fun. I mean, it's like watching the people that like big fish tanks. To me, that's my fish tank. I get to watch all the morning geckos do their little thing. But I know you can put dart frogs with morning geckos. I haven't done, I did it once. I'm not a dart frog fan, but I know that a lot of people do that and they really like that extra. But for me, I love the morning geckos. I think they're really cool to watch, and especially when they're laying eggs, like when you can see the eggs on the outside of their body. That's so cool. Like I don't know why, but you're seeing like these little geckos that have 2 little eggs inside that are like twice the size of their body, right? And then all of a sudden you have like 700 more because you let them lay and have all of the babies. So they're fun. They're fun though. They're fun.
Yeah, very much so. Very
And you
much
can't keep
so.
them at a show. You'll sell them like hotcakes at a show. I don't think I mean, they're gone faster than I walk in. Somebody finds out I have them. It's like they talk to other people in the show. Everybody shows up, and then they're like, "Do you have morning geckos?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I'm open for 5 minutes, and they're gone. Like I've never been able to keep them for too long. So it's a
Yep.
good. I mean, they're fun.
They're a great they're a great pet, and they're a great beginner gecko for people to get into, especially into the micro genre. You know, that's what opened the
Yeah.
door for me.
Oh yeah, they're fun. The little yellowhead ones, I forget what they're called. I know they start with an L, but they're little
The
geckos that have that yellow head. Um, That's how I got into the micro geckos. I
the
got a pair of those.
Gonatoides or
Starts with an L.
Phelsuma,
Say it again.
Lygodactylus.
Lygodactylus.
Yes, Lycodactylus. Oh, and talking about that, I have Uris too. I just got a trio of Uris. I do the Agricolae. I got one from Tara Lee, the orange project she's doing. Excited to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
got another one from BB's. He's got a fun pair there. So I got them. So I'm excited to pair them up and see what I get. So that's another project this year. So yeah.
Oh, we got some very interesting stuff coming.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's cool.
I have my regular 80-hour a week job and then I do this. So this is fun.
80
Yeah.
hours a week. Hi, God bless. God bless.
Yeah, yeah. So this is why I do it because this is love. This is what makes life worth living. The other job that I do, I like. I really enjoy it and I recommend people to do it. Don't get me wrong. But it's in front of the computer with very little interaction with people, right? You know what I mean? So this is my way of getting out in the world and enjoying that other side of my life that I don't get to experience often. So it's fun.
Got you. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anything else to get? Anything else you didn't bring up, Mark? Anything? Can you think of anything or
Um,
any topics?
no, I mean, at this point, we, I think we're winding it down. Unless there's anything else you wanna talk about, Heather,
Yeah, we didn't bring up
like
Heather. Anything that we didn't
like
touch on that you want
you
to?
No,
said you
this
said
is
you're
so
doing a
much.
show.
Yeah, so I'll be doing a few shows coming up. Anything I do the Repticon show in Maryland. I do that one. Um, that's in September. Uh, All American is in September. That's in Virginia. And then I
Where was
do
the
Oak
first one? I can put in the show notes. Where was the
uh,
Repticon?
Repticons in Maryland,
Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland, and then it's outside of Baltimore and some in Timonium,
All
Maryland.
American.
Yeah, and the All American is in Virginia. It's over in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I'll be doing that one. And
September
then
also.
yeah, that one's September as well. And then there's Oaks, Pennsylvania. I do that one. That's at the end of the month in
Yeah.
May. And then I think the next one is I do the Oaks ones pretty much, and then West Virginia in July, I believe is the or June or July. June or July is West Virginia. So yeah,
And you have the
they're
website up
I
with
put them on my
availability as well, right?
yeah, absolutely. I put them. I always put them on my. I have a thing that we're taking our on Facebook and in I pin it to Facebook and Instagram where it's and my website, but I have it set to show you what the next shows are that we're going to. So
Okay. All right. Cool.
I have a list of the shows that we're going to be at. And then I always,
Awesome.
I want to promote my friends, right? You know what I mean? Like Mike at Parker is doing some great stuff, period, right? He's doing some really good stuff. I can't wait to see you want axes? He's going to have some amazing stuff coming out. I can't wait to see it. He's big on caps and his structure on on his geckos, by far times 10 the best. I love his structure. Um,
Yeah, I just
Centaur,
me and Mike Mike's a good dude, man. I have a cap or two from Mike. He actually just got one of mine, which is probably the most flattering thing that can happen to me personally. 'Cause I'm not big on selling animals, but I gave some animals that I really didn't have interest in, like animals I was like, I could do without these and send them up to a show. And Mike was like, man, I gotta have it, man. I gotta have this gecko. I'm like, dude, take it. It's yours, man. So it's super, super cool, super flattering. But
he's
Mike, I
put some
consider a friend. Mike's a good dude.
Mike's an awesome guy, and what he does for the hobby, just like I'm huge on the 3D printing that he's done. I pretty much buy
Say it all the
everything,
time.
and
Mike's a problem solver.
oh my
Mike's a
God,
problem solver. He doesn't sit back and listens to the complaints only so he can come up with solutions. Mike is
thousand
a
percent, 1000%.
good
Like
man.
he's a great guy, and on top of that, like anything that comes out of my crazy brain occasionally, like I'll be like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? And Mike's like, hold on a second, let me see if I can do that, And I love that, right? So he's got that engineering mind, that the problem solving strategy, which I love. And he's a good friend, a good guy, totally willing to help anytime you need it. Centaur Gargs, Jamie, she's
Absolutely.
amazing. She's one of my favorites. One of my favorite humans on the earth is Jamie. She's compassionate. She's wonderful. She treats her animals with such great, great stuff. She does amazing work. And she has an eye that I don't think people have. She can pick something out on an animal that I've never seen before. She can see it. Well, next thing you know, you've got some beautiful stuff. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy in the background if you hear them. And then we've got Axel's Levi over at Axel's. He's doing some great stuff with Gargs. Did you? Oh my God, this year he's going to blow everybody's mind. I can't wait to see what he produces this year. And then you've got Category 5. He's David over Category 5. He's going to produce, he just got his first baby. And I was like, I totally felt him, like, as he was posting pictures of that. I'm like, I remember that feeling. You got your first baby Garg. It was so cool. So, and he's got some beautiful stuff. So what he's going to produce this year is going to be spectacular. Keep an eye on those people because they are going to produce some amazing things. And then Nature Nut 81. She's Chelsea. Oh my gosh. I mean, she makes greens and oranges on crested geckos that you have never seen before. Her greens I can't even tell you. Like, I've never seen a green. I bought 4 of her geckos. I was at her table for like 5 minutes and I'm like, I want all 4. I'm like, that green I've never seen before. And she's got, and they're beautiful geckos. Holy mackerel. I mean, head structure, body structure, everything. They're just amazing geckos. She's a good person. And that makes it even better, right? Not only am I getting it, I'm getting a gecko from what I want and what I want to produce. And she thinks of things the same way that I think we should all think of things. She looks at it as art. She creates things for art. She looks at it and she says, I can make something beautiful. And she does it. And that's her next project. And that's amazing. She just created an orange, a hypo orange that she posted. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to come there and take it from you. It's a beautiful hypo orange. So yeah, she's got some beautiful stuff. So you're going to see some amazing things this year from those folks. So I'm excited to see what they produce. I'm excited to watch them succeed in this because they're I wish I had the capacity of their brain even by 15%. They're just amazing. They're really, really good. So it'll be good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you for
Anything else,
having
Mark?
me.
What's coming up for you? Well, appreciate you coming. Absolutely. It's a complete pleasure. Absolute
Yeah,
pleasure.
this was so much
Yeah.
fun. So much more. I had a really good time. I really did. Talking to you guys has been really, it makes me
Well,
feel
good.
better about the hobby. You know what I mean? When you can talk to people that are just as interested and that, you can share your passion with them and they can share their passion with other people. It's the best time, right? So thank you for allowing me this time with you. And I really had a good time. So thank you.
An honor, complete honor. That's what we're here for. We believe again. Everybody matters. Everyone matters. I don't care. I say this a million times, and you guys could tell me to stop repeating myself. I'm still going to do it. The little girl with one gecko is just as important as the man with 5,000 animals. Everyone in this hobby matters. Everyone's observations matter. Your opinions matter. Everyone matters. If you keep geckos and this is something you love and something you want to be involved in, you matter. You matter. This isn't the frat boy podcast where we sit around and you know, pat each other on the back and act as if we're the only ones that exist. It's not true. We give credit where credit is due. We acknowledge everybody. Doesn't matter how many animals you have, what morphs you're working with, what genes you're working with, whether your animal's got good heads, bad heads, short tails, fat tails. We don't give a crap. If you work with these things and you love them, we all have things we can improve upon. We're here to spread information, give information, and again, build bridges, man. And that's with information and relationships, and we won't stop. We won't stop. Again, if we don't just agree with you, it doesn't matter. Mark and I will always respectfully hear everyone out and give you a platform and give you a stage. And, that's what we will always do. We will always do.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I appreciate
Guaranteed.
it. I appreciate
We
you,
appreciate
Billy.
you coming. We do.
Yeah.
Love what you're doing. Love your passion. Think it's great. It's
Come out to a show.
awesome to
I'd love
Keep
see
to
that.
doing
see you. I'm going to head to Florida just to see a show that you're going to be in. There you go. Do my fun
it.
thing. My friends used to say that I was the show queen because I would go to, before I started selling, I hit every show I could go to. So I'll come visit you at your show. I think it's important that we all support each other. And I think it's important to see
Absolutely. There
people
you
out in
go.
and,
the,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I can
Absolutely.
guarantee you I'm coming to Pennsylvania because my brother-in-law lives there, and we've already been setting it up so that I can come by. So it's happening soon.
that's
Soon.
awesome. Come visit us. It'll be so fun. I'll have something
Yeah.
special for you. Come out to the shows. I'll bring you something special. Maybe some Italian food.
Nice. Thank you.
Maybe some Italian food. My mom makes amazing
Hey.
food. I'm not real good at cooking. I'm not going to lie to you. You don't want anything I'm going to make. But I'll get something for my mom. Give you something good.
Nice.
Sounds
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Any shows coming up though, Mark? Anything? Did you have to anything? Palm Streets? You got anything going on?
I mean, Palm Streets, just keep on the lookout for the Gecko Room name. I'm doing Palm
Facts. Yeah.
Streets more frequently. Um, I started to do morning shows now, so I'm doing morning shows and I'm doing my usual Saturday nights. And Scales in June, West Palm Beach, Daytona in August, and Instagram lives. I'm starting those again. Check out the website, thegeckorroom.com. And most importantly, subscribe and comment to the New Cow Corner podcast on YouTube. We're constantly doing these interviews, and we are going to be getting better and better and better and better. If you have anything you want to see, if you have anything you want to go over, if you have anything specific, any people that you want on, tell us. Tell us what
Specific
we're doing
topics.
good.
Yeah.
Tell us what we're doing bad. Whatever. We like the constructive criticism, and we want to give everybody a safe place to talk. So, like we always say, we're going to hit everybody, and we're going down the line. Those DMs and phone calls are coming. So be patient with us. We're getting there, and that's it. Like, share, subscribe. And for those of you that haven't seen the podcast, go start from the beginning. There's many, many interviews of great, great, awesome people. And for those of you that have been interviewed, put your post out there on Instagram, post your interview out there, and get it seen. That's all I have to say.
For sure.
And Heather, it was a pleasure.
Yeah,
It was
awesome.
a pleasure.
Awesome. Great meeting the two of
And
you.
then after this, if I believe Anthony wants to buy a spider.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you
I'll
a
be in touch. I
Chaco.
definitely am.
I'm gonna send you a
Oh,
Chaco. You don't have to buy it. I'm gonna
Definitely
send it to you. Everybody needs a Chaco.
you gotta
You
do
need a
that.
Chaco.
I can
Everybody needs a
support.
Chaco.
I can support
It's
everyone. I'm
it's
gonna
like.
also do a Palm Street too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice.
I'm gearing up to do one. I've done one, but now I'm like finally realized I can't keep all these animals, man. I have 3 egg boxes full. I still have last year's, every hatchling from last year. I gotta do it. So stay on the lookout. Don't know when, but it's coming up. It'll be in May at some point. But that's it, guys. We appreciate you, man. This is for you guys. I can't emphasize that enough. We are just a platform for you guys. Me and Mark and this are irrelevant. We are here and do this for you. We want people to have, again, a means to get familiar with other breeders, to communicate with other breeders, and ultimately show everybody we as different as we are, and as different as our lives are outside of this right here is what we have in common. This is what makes us the same. This is the last thing we should argue about. The first thing that should be an icebreaker. Talk to people and support your fellow breeders and hobbyists, and embrace this. This is a good thing. It's and again, like Mark said, if there's topics you guys want to talk about, people you want to see on here, let us know, man. Use the comments. Leave us something in the chat box, man. We'll get back to you. And again, be nice to people, guys. Be nice. I said it earlier, but treat people the way you would want your loved ones to be treated, man. And stay true to yourselves. Stay weird as all hell. I strongly encourage everyone to stay you. If it's weird, be weird. If you're anything but mean, just stay you. Work with what you love. Forget about the trends. Do what makes your soul shine, guys. Again, we appreciate you so much, man, and we will definitely catch you guys in the next episode. There is plenty more to come, so stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. Peace.